Hey guys, this is Richard Ogachi. Thank you so much for subscribing to my YouTube channel. And I know that this has been great. It's been a month of making YouTube content. It's been amazing, awesome. I mean, throwing myself out there and trying to do something difficult. And let me see how this goes because you see, in my whole life, one of the major fears that human beings have is fear of public speaking. Have you seen when people are told to give a speech, immediately they just get into some kind of anxiety and fear, and it becomes so scary for them that they are not able to even articulate. You find most of the time some of us stutter, others mumble, most of us sweat, and you lose thought process. You get flight of ideas. You can't put words and statement together. One of my friends at work was telling me about their son who has now anxiety because he was involved in doing public speaking in his class. He's in middle school. So she told me, sorry, that the kid was okay and was not having problems from last year. And now he has super anxiety that is associated with the fact that he has been told they're going to do public speaking. He's going to speak in front of students, or he's going to speak in his class. Almost all of us suffer from that. Unless now you are different, and there are people who don't really care and they've grown up places where they speak and they naturally don't have fear of public speaking. They can speak anywhere. You can speak pretty much anywhere. When I look at that, I think the biggest empowerment that you can get is ability to speak in front of people. Not only that, but a good command of the language, and especially English language. Because if you have good command of English language, then it means that your niche by communication standards is higher. You're able to reach more people, and you're able to, if you able to articulate issues with clarity, then you have very high chances of being successful, because then you become, by those kind of standards, you become very good in sales, because you can put up statements, you can convince someone to buy something, you can sell your vision with clarity, you can, articulate statements and have effective communication. So when those who speak with different type of dialect accent come to the platform, you are already starting from the negatives. That's what I've realized, because I've been in the US for the last 5 years now. Turned 5 years in the US this last February. And I've had significant challenges because of communicating with different accent. Obviously, every time when I go to a patient room as a registered nurse doing assessment, almost all the time, the questions that I face every day is, you speak with accent, where do you come from? Which is fine. I mean, it's beautiful. Some people take it personal, like, okay, so I have accent. You mean I have accent? If you don't speak, if English is not your first language, then you speak with some specific different type of language accent. So patient ask me, where do you come from? Is the first question. Where did you go to school? I mean, it's amazing how you find people asking questions that are judgmental, and they are meant to they are actually by default just looking down upon, but they don't even know. But at the same time, every time when you speak with a different language accent, you're already a second class citizen. You're already a second class citizen because some like it. By the way, even most people like it, really. Because I've had some people asking me, like, can you continue speaking? They just want to hear that voice, that accent itself. It's appealing to them. And you get really surprised, like, what is this that you like? I'm struggling to articulate words. You don't understand me. And I also don't understand you because you also have accent you speak with, like American English accent, which is, the intonation is different. Some of the pronunciations for specific words is different. And I don't at a glance hear or understand what they are saying. The same way, two difficult challenges. But when you have command of the language, you know how to communicate with clarity, effectively. You are in a very good spot. You are in a very good spot. You're starting from a very good footing. Because then, of course, if you have good command of language, you're able to put be clear and get to convince people easily what you want them to do. And like when you really don't have, like, I look at, for example, people who have deep, deep French accent, for example, deep other local dialects accent, deep Spanish accent. When you meet people who speak different language and you have deep accent with English, for example, if you it becomes super really hard. Like I see some patients, you know, there has to be effective communication in healthcare, especially when you're working in the hospital, you're attending to patients. Because then, if a patient tells you what they say, a patient is supposed to understand what you're saying for you to be able to plan care and implement nursing interventions accurately and appropriately. You have to have effective communication. So at times you find patients struggling to understand some nurses, especially those who have deep accent, deep Arabic accent, deep French accent, deep other local dialects accent from their different countries. They really get so frustrated, and you see it in their face, like, maybe just let me get somebody else to take care of me today. So when you have good communication of English language, national language, like if you're in Kenya and you have good, uh, if you can articulate Swahili, like uh, um, you're able to talk fluent Kiswahili, you have a footing in East Africa. If you're able to communicate in English, even in Kenya, based on where you are, in national platforms, you're able to speak in English, you are ready to take off because it's then easy to understand. But what is even amazing to me is the people I knew by Kenyan standards who are the ones who have good command of English language, when they get to the US, nobody understands them. Maybe they're speaking with English with British accent, uh, blended with local dialect accent. When you get to the US, then I mean, all that is watered because the American accent is different and no one will understand you. You have to, I have repeated myself, I repeat myself all the time, like so many times. But what happens, I've realized, is that when people keep communicating this way, in the course of time, you get to understand and get to decode how they speak and how they pronounce the words. And they also get to decode how you communicate. Initially, when you interact for the first time, usually there's a big like misunderstanding, repeating of words, like asking for you to repeat statements because then they don't understand. But when you speak a couple of times, like my good friend Bob, he, initially we could never communicate. We could like he would rarely like understand me, and me too. I would understand him at least to a greater extent, unlike him who was having issues understanding me. You know what? That is God's creation. The uniqueness of human beings from different parts of the world pursuing different things. Because then they know things are going to get better anyways and make a big difference with them and do become effective in what they're doing and also get to exchange their words and understand the differences